Have you ever been learning something new or trying to make extra progress on something that you've been attempting to advance your skill in, and you feel like you're putting in a lot of input and getting no output? The biggest example I can vouch for is working out in the gym consistently and not seeing any results. This can be super demoralizing because what is the point in putting in all the work when you could just be relaxing or doing other things that you want to do and see what you think is the same result? There are a few things I want to talk about in this video that really accentuate how, although it may feel like you're not making any progress, that you actually are, and a way to make that feeling go away. So stick around to the end of the video for a better understanding on how to make your progress more visible to you. Hi, my name is Wisteria. I make videos to help people, specifically people that are around my age who are new adults trying to figure out their way in the world. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe so I can continue to make videos like these. So, to start off, we have to figure out why it feels like we're making no progress. We must first figure out if we are truly making no progress or we just feel like it. So for the first step, you must track your progress and what it would look like. If it's your physique, for example, take photos, daily, weekly, or whatever it may be, but just make sure you take them. If you take the photos and see progress, that means you were just blind to your own progress, which is fine, but you have to make sure to continue to track it so you don't follow back into this cycle. If you take progress photos and it's been a couple months and there's absolutely zero visible progress, it doesn't mean that you're not working hard enough, it just means that you might not be putting in the right input. There are plenty of factors to your physique. Specifically, you can't just work harder in the gym and expect results. You have to eat right, you have to sleep right, and you have to work hard but make sure it's structured. If you work hard on a different workout every single week, then there is no structure. This goes for any type of practice. When it comes to learning my guitar, practicing the same exercise every single week on top of the new things I'm learning has helped me build a structured routine and make my improvement much more visible along with recording videos, aka tracking, as I said before. As I said before, if you start to track your progress and you still can't see that you're making any, make sure you check your input. If you turn a TV on and it's on HDMI 2 when your HDMI cord is plugged into HDMI 1, then you get no signal static. There is no output. You can try as hard as you want, you will still not get the output you want. This ties into real activities because if you aren't putting in the correct input or the correct work, your output won't be correct either. There is a difference between these things though, in that real activities have multiple factors of input going into them to receive that output. If you are working perfectly in the gym, doing exercises that are stimulating muscle growth and are making you tired enough to break down your muscles and help them grow back stronger, but you aren't getting enough protein and you aren't sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night, then your output probably still won't be right. You have to measure all of the inputs and the factors to get the output you want. Sometimes it's not a gap in how much work you're willing to put in. Sometimes it's a gap in knowledge or understanding that limits your progress. I wish there was a way to 100% understand things so you can put in the hard work first try. But even with information online, a lot of times it just takes experience from trial and error because even if someone tells you something, you don't really know something until you experience it for yourself. Another aspect of you seeing no progress may be that your output just takes a lot of input, or a long time of continuous input to see any output. Working a job and saving up money takes an extremely long continuous amount of input to see an amount of output that is considered extraordinary. Sometimes your progress takes time, and in that moment it may seem like it will take a super long time and that you should just quit now because it would be years from now until you see the output you want. But one quote I heard recently that stuck with me is that the time will pass anyway, which is basically saying if it takes 10 years to learn, it'd be better to know that thing in 10 years than to still be wishing you knew it. Also, we have to remember that progress is not linear. It is not a straight line that goes up and you gain the same amount of progression in the same amount of time in every single instance. When you start at something new, you tend to skyrocket into a decent amount of understanding pretty quickly. But then it starts to fall off and dip down, and it gets to a low point where you feel like you're actually worse and less experienced than you were when you started. From this point, progress can take months, maybe even years to fully hit the progression that you want, depending on how difficult the task is or how much is required to learn. I've spent so much time thinking about how I just wish I knew the things I wanted to know. How I wish the knowledge to play guitar just magically popped into my head, the knowledge of what job is best for me, the knowledge of the woman I'm going to marry. These things that I just wish were a snap of the fingers in my head seem like it would be a great idea to have all these things just figured out. But I want you to imagine if everything that you strive for every single day disappeared. What would you do? The first couple of weeks would be exhilarating. You know everything that you need to know, and all your hard work is done for you. But then, after a little while, you feel this longing for a new challenge. This longing for something new that you just can't find because you already know everything. And you go back to figure out what the purpose of life is, and you find out that it's not to have the achievement so you can brag about it, it's having a goal to work towards. And I think that's the best conclusion to come to. Not that, oh, I wish my progress would go faster so I can know this thing I wanted to know, but to actually enjoy striving for something new. Enjoy the time you learn that aspect that you've been trying to learn for a while. I think a big problem in our society recently is that social media only shows the outcome or end achievement. People showing off their nice houses, their nice car, how much money they make, but they never show off the little victories. If we were to just think of the progress as the victory instead of the end, then I think a lot of people would be happier with what they have. I tend to have this problem that when I'm wanting to accomplish something, it feels impossible, or that I may make no progress towards improving or achieving proficiency at the subject. But when I finally become proficient, I tend to shrug it off like it wasn't that big of an achievement or it was too easy, which isn't me being braggy or whatever. It was more of a, if I'm able to do it, then anyone can do it, and it's not that big of an achievement type thing. It's because the mysticism wears off when you know everything there is to know about a subject, and yes, it's cool to know because who doesn't want to know the things they're passionate about, but part of being passionate is exploring new things. An example that works for me is learning how to drive a manual car. When I first got my car, I went and worked on it constantly, and liked to think about how I wanted to be good at it so bad, and eventually, it did happen. I'm fully proficient and can drive stick basically subconsciously. But it doesn't feel like this magical thing anymore because I know how to do it. So while I enjoy driving it, it doesn't feel the same as when I was learning it. So, to leave this video off, I want to say that any progress is progress. 2 steps forward with 1 step backwards is still 1 step forward. You have to think of life this way. It's okay to have setbacks because we all do. We're all human. That doesn't mean you can just give up. You must keep going even though it may feel like you're making no progress. As long as you track your progress and make sure your input is correct, then you will be fine as long as you're consistent with it. No one has ever put in the work into something continuously for their whole life and not gotten to the point they want to. There's only the people who made it there and the people who gave up before they got there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, I'm Wisteria. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I hope to catch you again next week. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and as always, God bless.